Hey there everyone, Ant1 here. So you can see what I've got on here. It's called a Holter monitor, Holter, and it's basically monitoring my heart behaviors, I can say, over 24 hours. Just so that was a little bit interesting. I went to a clinic yesterday at about 10 o'clock where we had a discussion about, we had a test of my ECG, my heart rate and functioning and that sort of thing, because I had collapsed with syncope twice last year in April and May. So we're kind of following up on that and seeing whether actually it's viable for me to do an exercise program, a fitness program, and have a personal trainer and that sort of thing. So very exciting for me. And apparently there's nothing particularly wrong with my heart, and have a good diet and so on. And I'm pretty, I feel pretty confident. But it's a new experience for me, so I thought I'd document it. I mean, if we're going to be really adventurous, we can lift up my shirt here and have a look inside. Just have a look inside. Hang on, so I can. There it is. Yeah. Um, but of course, it's hard to do anything in this with this equipment on, and walking around with it. I sort of gave the impression to people that I was carrying a suicide bomb, and there was blow up in the bus when I walked into the bus. One person was a little bit edgy, until I looked like I wasn't meaning having any business with setting off a bomb. So that was kind of interesting. So yesterday I also got my tax returns done at H&R Block, and it was quite a good experience because there wasn't much calculation to be done compared to the year before and the financial year before, and they gave me $100 off because there weren't many calculations, and probably because they felt a bit sorry for me. I made like $30 in the crypto market, just buying and selling a little bit of Ethereum, and I would have lost all of that with the calculations that they made. So they took $100 off. I got charged $117, and I was pretty happy about that. Having said that, Jeff, who works there, wouldn't say he's completely not a nut. He's kind of like a little bit eccentric, and his advice is somewhat solid, but he doesn't tell the full story. That's why you have to do your own research when you're doing things like investing in big projects and stuff, which is what I might be doing in the future. So the double edge of capitalism and making money is that when you have a lot of money, you're inclined and entitled to spend it, or you feel entitled to spend it. Whereas really, you have a responsibility, a social responsibility in how you spend that money. So, being a minimalist and trying to keep being a minimalist, I have to realize that when I'm in charge of more money in the future, I have to spend that much more responsibly, and in the same way that I'm doing at the moment. Living in a small place, I don't think this is really a small place. I think it's quite large by some people's standards, but it's not a huge house or anything. I don't have dependents or anything. So, in many ways, capitalism is an amplification of nature, where those who get ahead are the ones that take advantage of others. Life is unfair, and it's how you play the game that determines your success. It's just a different kind of game because obviously there are laws that protect people from being murdered and so on, which are kind of rudimentary laws, but they exist in a reasonable enough fashion. But when you're dealing with money, what you're doing is taking advantage of other people and trying to get the advantage over them. So it's a very terrible game, but it's definitely a Ponzi scheme. Capitalism itself is a Ponzi scheme. There's no doubt about that. So I've got in my recent diary files or journals, whatever you want to call it, a couple of plans. One is called a poetry toolkit. I saw some poetry by Whitney Hanson Poetry, which you can find on IG and elsewhere probably. Her way of expressing poetry and reading her own poems is very utility based. That means that the words that she says are very almost on the tip of your tongue, sort of almost very immediate, and they tell a story as well, and that's why she's so popular. I'm trying to do the same. Want to do the same thing with my poetry by making it like a toolkit of some kind, where it's got practical value and a sort of rhetorical dimension to it. Also, with my memes on Instagram, which some of you may be following, some of my memes are a little bit ironic, even excessively so, and people don't like me saying that I'm not vegan, or don't use the word vegan, or other things like being sarcastic about the way people talk about climate change and say, "Oh, climate change is a good thing," and the way that I express that is very ironic, and people don't get the joke. So I'm going to try and see if I can actually expand on that in a series where I relay the good news, such as climate change has ended. There's this big quote which I found where someone said, I think it was the Secretary General of the United Nations said, the era of climate change, no, the era of global warming has now ended. We are now at the stage of global boiling. So there's both a innocuous part of this statement and a very sarcastic or satirical part of the statement, and I'm going to see if I can make that into a kind of series of memes and with important captions in the detail, and that's why I want to call it something like C detail or C deets, because if you don't read the detail of the meme, you miss the meaning of the meme. So yeah. These are the sorts of ideas that I come up with in the wee hours of the night. It's now about 1:30 in the morning. So not being able to sleep sometimes like this is the sort of thing that comes out from my imaginations, and I don't mind it at all. I think in the long term it may have some detrimental effects, but hopefully not too many. Being insomniac in this way, and I get a lot of my best ideas in the wee hours of the night. My poetry and story ideas and just hanging out really. Okie dokie, folks. It's enough for me today, and thanks for watching my update. Bye.